I am looking as season 4 Willow as I possibly can right now. What up, my big beautiful BBs? It's Meghan Tonjes, and I wanted to make a video to talk. There's a lot going on the past few weeks. There's a lot happening in the news, a lot of discussion about mental health, a lot of discussion about suicide, and so I just wanted to check in and say hi. I've been having a really hard few weeks because of that and because of a lot of other things that are going on that I'm gonna fill you in on, and I'm sure that you have too, so I wanted to say hi. Earlier this week, Margot had an episode. We don't know if it's a seizure, we don't know if it's syncope, where blood doesn't get to the brain and they kind of pass out, and it was just horrifying is what it was. I was in the middle of some deep REM sleep, and I woke up to Keith freaking out and Margot screaming in pain. I'm gonna bring this in real close because we're about to get intimate. Okay. For those of you who know anything about dogs and heart disease, she has I believe at this point, a 6 out of 6 murmur. I thought it was a 5 out of 6. Now it's a 6 out of 6. She's in stage B2 heart disease, but she's not in heart failure. Seemingly she has high blood pressure, and they're not entirely sure what caused the episode, if it was syncope or if it was a seizure. They're thinking more seizure because the hypertension isn't at the point where it would probably cause that. But again, this is something that's only happened once. She's 10 years old, so gonna keep an eye on her. Also, she's going on medication, which is not cheap. Probably a good time to mention that if you haven't already supported my Patreon, go check it out. I opened up a few select spots for Margot's Angels, so if you want to be directly in charge of helping this dog with medication, you will be getting weekly and monthly updates about what she's doing, being all cute, maybe little video vlogs from her herself, and I would just really appreciate that because you would be helping with her medication and potentially extending the length and quality of her life, which I would like a few more years with this dog. I've had this dog since I was 22. I love her very dearly, and I don't like the idea of my life without her. So don't love asking for help, but appreciate you. On top of that, the news just in general was so upsetting, and I really didn't know what to say. Between the suicide of Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain, it was just like, okay, I have to have this conversation, and what do I say? Something that I've seen this week that's been really upsetting to me are people who are online, who are looking at these things and are trying to like blame significant others, to blame relationships, to attack people online, and to like accuse people of driving someone to suicide or cheating, and that's why, and it's a lot. And I think we need to address it because wow, that's a trash fucking thing to do on the internet. I think we have to acknowledge that us, people on the internet, people who have never even met these people, have no concept or idea of their relationship, the status of their relationship, the openness of their relationship, how they feel about each other. Are they together? Are they monogamous? Are they friends? Are they exes? Are they people that just love each other? Like, they're clearly people that are important to each other. I honestly think this kind of hyper focus on relationships that aren't ours comes from either people that are very young or just an incredibly immature mindset. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that some of the people that react like this are people that post every little thing their significant other does on Facebook to shame them and to coerce them into being better, as opposed to having conversations in their own relationship and or leaving the relationship instead of passive aggressively talking about it on Facebook to everyone that knows them. That's a different rant for a different day. We want there to be a bad guy. We want someone to blame. We want to know who's responsible because we love closure, but more than we love closure, we love vengeance. We love blame. We love pointing fingers. People are complicated. Relationships are complicated. Intimacy is complicated. The level of sound outside of my apartment at all times is complicated. Loss is really complicated, and we make it harder for people going through it by rushing in and wanting to be like the judge, the jury, the executioner. Most people have experience with suicide either because they've had thoughts, because they have tried, because they've lost someone to it, and so we all have very different experiences and emotions connected to that, and levels of anger or blame or frustration for other people and for ourselves. I think a lot of that anger and that fear and that fascination and that focus comes from a place of us seeing depression, seeing suicidal thoughts as like this boogeyman, and at any point he could grab any one of us. We want to know how to defeat it. We want to know the answer. We want to know the way to get out of it. We want to save other people because we want to know that we can save ourselves. And on our path for that answer, we actually end up dehumanizing people. We argue with each other over who knows death more intimately, who wants life more desperately, who's more deserving, who's stronger. And so I just really wanted to pass this message on because I feel like you needed to hear it, which is that people are very complicated. And when they are in pain, they don't always know how to ask for help. And just because help has been provided, it doesn't mean that it's going to cure or fix or save anyone. I see a lot of conversations happening right now, right? About how selfish it is for these people that are parents to take their own lives, for these people that had people that loved them, and how like this anger and this animosity towards people for like, how dare you go and affect everyone else? And that is valid because that comes from a place of pain, and I understand that. And you know what? There's probably a point in my life where I thought that, but I can tell you that dealing with chronic pain is the thing that really opened my eyes to just a glimpse of what people that deal with that go through. I was bullied growing up. I definitely had moments where I thought the world would be better off without me. I had moments where I acted on those things. But for the most part, once I got through middle school, I had a pretty like solid grip on like, okay, this is all right. I want to be here. Cool. When I was like 24, 25, I actually had this back spasm, and it was the most painful experience I've ever been through. And it was the beginning of this long chain of painful events where my back would have a spasm, and for weeks, sometimes up to a month, I would have a lot of trouble walking. I would be in extreme amounts of pain. I didn't have health insurance. I basically was like subsisting off of ibuprofen and whatever Vicodin was left over from so-and-so getting their wisdom teeth out, oils and like massages and warm baths and ice. And like, I just so clearly remember like being in my mid-20s and my little brother having to help me get to the bathroom, being unable to like bend and pick myself up, like laying on my bed while my mom and my brother would like hold me down and try to rub whatever little section was spasming, and just crying throughout the entire experience. I remember getting in a car and having to drive like maybe 5-6 minutes away to a chiropractor, and the entire time grabbing onto that little handle and crying because every vibration, every little bump, every time we stopped for a red light, it was just a full breakdown. Like I couldn't even handle getting to the chiropractor. I would go to the chiropractor because again, that was like all I could afford, because basically my dad was helping to snow plow this guy's parking lot during the winter. And so because of that, we cut a deal where it was like $25 cash for me to walk in and get an adjustment. And I would go in and I would lay down and I would just say, I'm gonna cry. I'm going to scream. Please do whatever it is you have to do to help this or fix this. Getting up from a chair and having to walk down a hallway was, oh my God. I've never experienced that level of pain. I've never experienced that level of frustration. You feel like you should be able to do something. You feel like you're used to being able to do something. And this is why I have so much empathy when someone in front of me is walking slowly. Like I'm not sitting there rushing and like getting around them. Like I'm just taking my time. Like I know exactly what they're going through, and I'm not in a rush, because when you're already in pain and you're already frustrated, people around you treating you like you're just doing it to fuck up their entire day is heartbreaking. Just a quick little note to all of you. It's heartbreaking. And so please treat people like they're people. There's nowhere that you have to go that's so fucking important that you have to treat anyone like that. I did a lot of things to try to fix this. I was told to lose weight. I lost tons of weight and my back still went out. And even though I get one of these maybe like once a year now, once every 6 or 7 months, and it's not to that degree. It's like maybe I'm sore for a week and I struggle for a few days, but it's not the level of pain that I used to have. I live in constant fear of I'm going to bend over, I'm going to grab something and pick it up, I'm going to move in a certain way, and I'm just going to feel that spasm and know that I'm completely fucked. And who's going to take care of me? And what am I possibly going to do? Like, time does not stop because you're in pain, which is something that I now know. Being in that much pain, I also became aware that it's so hard to be yourself, to have enough energy to even feel like a human being, because you are just trying to get through every literal second, and there's nothing in you to focus on anything as abstract as a dream or joy or love. Like, it is survival, and what it does to your system, what it does to your thoughts, what it does to even wanting to exist in the world. You might think like, I would never feel that way. I would never think that way. Deal with some intense pain for an extended period of time. It's not about being a strong person. Pain is pain. See how many like great memories you are pulling up when you're just sitting there trying to breathe, because you don't know how to get through the next minute, let alone the next hour. It's not a matter of wanting it enough. It legitimately is beyond your control. Like, it is the closest way I can describe it, and I describe a lot of things in very like nautical water terms, but it is these huge waves that just hit you and knock you down. And normally it's like you deal with a wave of pain or sadness or whatever, and it's like at some point there's relief, at some point there's a light, and this is just constant. You are just trying to hold on as hard as you can, and then on top of you sitting there drowning, desperately trying to hold on, people are putting all of their expectations on you, all of their own personal fears and worries. They expect you, via virtue of loving them, to be stronger. And I just have so much empathy for anyone that is in that amount of pain, that the idea of not being here seems better for them and for everyone around them than living. And I think a lot of us really believe that if you just hold on long enough, it'll get better, it'll get easier. And I think for a lot of people that's true, but I also have so much empathy for people that it doesn't ease up for, who don't have that moment to recharge or to refocus or to feel anything other than pain. All I can control on any level is me trying to be here in the best way that I can be for people that I care about, people that I love, to let them know that I love them, and to not make their pain about me. I love feeling hope. And I wish that everyone could feel that. And I wish that I could always have that with me. I wish that I could always get back to that. But someone not being able to find that is not a failure. And I think that we just need to remember, we're all doing the best that we can. I just think it's so interesting that we will sit here and crucify people for how they may have impacted other people's lives. But there's someone in your life you're not talking to because you didn't like how they responded to a comment on Facebook. There are people in your life that you're not checking in on. There are unresolved relationships and situations that you're in, that God forbid someone that you care about dies by suicide. By all means, someone could look at you and say, well, you didn't really help the situation, did you? You probably made it worse. And that is a horrific feeling. So just I don't know, pay attention to how you would want to be treated, and maybe focus on the relationships in your own life instead of sitting here and trying to feel better than and higher than other people. Well, they got it wrong and that's why that happened. No, it's not as simple as that. So maybe we gotta be a little kind to people because, it's a much easier world when we can be kind to ourselves. That's all I had to say today. Again, you can follow me, Meghan Tonjes, on most things. Share this video with a friend or family member, someone that you feel like needs it, or maybe just take some of these notes and just, draw closer to people in your life that you care about. And not just when bad things happen to celebrities, but year-round, all of the time. Foster those meaningful connections and friendships, and don't just check in when someone's going through it. Really be there and let people be vulnerable with you. I hope that you are having a lovely day. Take care of each other. I like your faces. Say hi to your grandmas too, okay? Please, for me. And I will see you soon. Bye. When you're filming a video and you've turned off the air conditioning and you're slowly roasting inside, and you just wish that the sounds would stop. And what is happening? Jesus Christ. All right.